90% of people that set a New Year's resolution, like people might be doing now as they're listening to this, I think the stat is that if you go 6 months later, only 14% will still be pursuing it.
So as this episode comes out, Damien, it will be the start of the year.
Yeah.
And we know that people will be, they would have done their ice baths, they would have cleaned their fridges out, they would have set their goals, and they would have established their New Year's resolutions and their habits. As you think about people doing this, where will people typically go wrong so that in 2 months' time they've kind of messed it up and it's a car crash?
Well, again, so it's a really good question, but I'd avoid even using pejorative terms like right or wrong. There's no right or wrong. Do you know what I mean? Like most people are doing the best, aren't they? And where sometimes does our best fall short? Well, there's some reasons behind it. I think, and there's research on this that says that like out of 90% of people that set a New Year's resolution, like people might be doing now as they're listening to this, I think the stat is that if you go 6 months later, only 14% will still be pursuing it. So there's something called the say-do gap, right? Is that that psychology talks about this idea that people talk a really good game, and it's not that they're not committed and they don't mean to get healthier or they don't mean to be more successful or they don't mean to journal more, but the doing it is often difficult, and it's in that gap where you say, so what can we do different? The easy way is to think of it in first of all, do something really small, right? Don't try and change your life because you don't need to change your life, right? So do something really small. Just commit to something that, like, I'm gonna floss after brushing my teeth. Do you know what I mean? It's something like as really simple as that. You're gonna brush your teeth anyway, so floss or something like that. Or you'll just do. I've spoke to some people like Dr. Rangan Chatterjee that talks about when he's making a cup of tea in the morning, he just does like some squats. You know what I mean? So that's like the first smallest step he could do about, I want to get a bit healthy. I'm just going to squat while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil because I'm going to be waiting anyway. So do something really small. The second one is do something quite simple. Don't like if it costs you money or if it involves sort of making huge significant investments, you're probably not going to do it. So keep it really simple, right? So like that idea of Rangan doing his squats, not costing him any money, and he's going to be waiting for the kettle to boil anyway. And then the other one is just make it something you can do quickly. So something that is not going to take up a huge amount of time, because most of us are time poor, aren't we? You know, like you guys know it. You've got kids, they're looking after your kids, running the business, doing your podcast, doing all the other things. Like the idea of carving out an hour somewhere in your day can feel quite intimidating, but you can carve out 5 minutes. So I think if we do that things and make it small, make it simple, and make it speedy that you can do, we start to narrow the say-do gap, and then it stops us feeling that we're going wrong, or we're making a mistake, or we're making an error, because then that just reinforces the sense of failure and we get ourselves in that spiral. What we want is a sense of progress. And those three areas allow us to narrow the gap of what we say we're going to do and then actually following through and doing it.